All right, shalom, shalom. First off, I want to give all praises, all honor and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstone, who rule and teach well, who also taught us 100% truth. Shalom to the hopeful elect. I'm the brother Kasada, back with another quick lesson. And going to this lesson, this is Daniel's chapter 2. Quick briefing over Daniel's chapter 2 breakdown of the statue of Nebuchadnezzar's dream. All right. And Daniel's pretty much giving them the breakdown of his dream. All right. But we're going to go into a little bit more. All right. So let's get straight into it. This is Daniel's chapter 2 and verse 31. It says, "Thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. This image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet, that were of iron and clay, and brake them to pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors. And the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth." All right. So this is where Daniel, he told him what he saw, but this is where Daniel go into a little more detail. This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, art a king of kings, for the Most High of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven hath he given into thy hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold, and after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces, and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these shall it break in pieces and bruise. And where as thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. As the toes of the feet were part of the iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is mixed with clay. And in the days of these kings shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom, which shall, and we're going to get back to that part. I'm going to come back to that part, but let's mostly go into the breakdown of pretty much where he talks about that head. All right. Where he talks about the head being, all right, Nebuchadnezzar's kingdom, which is the Babylonian Empire from 605 to 539 BC. And he said, and after thee shall rise another kingdom inferior to thee, which is that silver, all right, being the arms. All right, that's going into the Medo-Persian Empire, because right after the Babylonian Empire, the Medo-Persians conquered the Babylonians right after. All right, during 539 to 331 BC. All right. And it says, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth, which is the Grecian Empire. All right. From 331 to 168 BC. All right. It says, and the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these shall it break in pieces and bruise. All right, that goes into the Roman Empire from 168 BC to 476 AD. All right. So the Roman Empire will be that the legs, which is made of iron. And after that, it goes into the toes and the feet, mixing with iron and clay. All right, that's the divided kingdom going into the NATO and the EU. All right, so ultimately we know, all right, or ultimately Esau's kingdom, I should say, being divided. All right, these Edomites are divided among themselves. Okay, so let's get down. It says, verse 44, and in the days of these kings shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to another people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all the kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. All right, and that kingdom ultimately, after Esau's kingdom, let's grab it. After Esau's kingdom, all right, who's going to rule next? Let's get it. This is 2nd Ezra 6 and verse 9. Chapter 6 and 9. All right, it says, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Yeah, so Jacob, being Israel, is the next kingdom or the next to rule, man, right after Esau, because Esau's in power right now. The scripture talks about how the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. How do we know who the wicked is? According to Malachi 1 and 4. All right, Esau is the border of wickedness, man. Okay? But ultimately, man, Jacob has the next to rule. Okay? Let's continue on. It says, 45, it says, for as much as thou sawest the stone. Well, we read that. Do we read it? Slack. For as much as thou sawest the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it break in pieces, the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, the gold, the great power, hath made known to thee, the king, what come to pass hereafter, and the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure. Yeah, man. It also mentioned mountain, okay? Because that next mountain is Israel, man. Matter of fact, here it is. Let me grab it. This is Isaiah 2 and 24. It says, and it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall float unto it. Yeah, these mountains being these other nations, all right? All right, these hills and these mountains are other nations, other countries, man. And it says, and many people shall go and say, come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, the house of the Most High of Jacob. And he will teach us of all his ways, and we walk in his path. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem, which Jerusalem in the Hebrew tongue is Jerusalem, which means city of peace or teaching of peace. All right. So, hey, man, it's all spiritual. And he shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people, and they shall bear their swords into plowshares. So I can beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Yeah, it's going to be peace on the earth again, man. All right? It's going to be peace, man. Hey, these nations going to have to come up under our rulership, man. All right? Because we're going to teach them what peace is. All right? So let's get back down. Let's go to verse 46. It said, the king Nebuchadnezzar fell upon his face and worshipped Daniel and commanded that they should offer oblation and sweet odors unto him. All right. And ultimately, man, Daniel, the Lord really blessed Daniel. All right. Showed him, revealed him the king's dream. All right. But I want to get to the part where it says that, hey, it was destroyed by this stone. All right. Which ultimately is Yahweh Shai. All right. It says, verse 4, in the days of these kings shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. Yeah, which we read. And ultimately, it's going to be headed by Yahweh Shai. But let me jump up. And Salaki about this. Bear with me. But ultimately, that stone that hit the feet, all right, that's going to be destroyed is going to be Yahweh Shai. All right. Here it is. Verse 35, then was the iron, the clay, the brass, and the silver, Salakia, the silver and the gold broken to pieces together and became like the chaff, the summer threshing floors, and the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. Yeah, that mountain being Israel, but ultimately that was Yahweh Shai, because Yahweh Shai is coming back, man. All right, this is Revelation 19:12. It says, his eyes were a flame of fire, and his head were many crowns, and he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. Yeah, that's Yahweh Shai. Those many crowns is him conquering these other nations. All right, so Yahweh Shai is coming back to take down these other nations, man. Talks about how he's going to come back from Basra, especially these Edomites, man. All right, who's this come from Basra? As if he trampled in the wine press. Roughly paraphrasing. All right, so Yahweh Shai is coming back to conquer, all right, and to take over these other nations, man. All right, so over time, yeah, these empires and these other nations had their time to rule, man. But ultimately, at the end, Israel is going to be the next to rule. All right, we're going to see a transition of power. Right now, we're in the transition of power. All right, we're seeing that now with Esau's kingdom being divided and going down. Okay. So I just wanted to go on that, Lord willing, I hope this was truly edifying. Shalom.